Hi, all. I'm Dan Smigbrod, founder of the We Get Around Network Forum. Today is Thursday, April 28th, 2022, and you're watching WGAN-TV live at 5. We have an awesome show for you today. How real estate photographers make money with NFTs powered by HomeJab. And here to talk to us about it today is Jesuele. Hey, Joe, good to see you.
Hi, Dan. Good to see you again.
Thanks for being back on the show. Joe is founder and owner of HomeJab at the websites www.homejab.com and also on today's topic, nft.homejab.com. Joe, before we jump into today's topic about making money with NFTs, how about giving our audience an overview of what HomeJab is?
Sure, Dan. So HomeJab, it's an online marketplace for media production and in the real estate industry. So, we're offering real estate professionals and homeowners photography, aerials, video walkthroughs, 3D tours, virtual staging, pretty much any type of media content. It's a one-stop shop, really easy to schedule. We can get people, photographers there the next day, a quick turnaround. Get everything back to the customer the next morning with property landing pages and various resolutions, download options. So it's a very comprehensive type of system from the real estate agent's perspective. Very, very quick, efficient system.
And Joe, this is across the United States?
Yep, we service all 50 states, all major metro areas, including Canada as well.
Great. And from the photographer's perspective, HomeJab is?
Yeah, about 1,400 photographers are now approved to work on our platform. We basically are a complete back office for all photographers. So we're handling, not only the sales aspect, but scheduling, rescheduling, all editing and post-production, any type of customer service, media delivery. So it's pretty much handling all the administrative type tasks for the photographers, and photographers can basically choose when they want to work. So it's a great way to kind of fill in the gaps of your schedule. So you can tell us when you're available, and then the app will schedule jobs only for those times. Awesome.
And now HomeJab meets NFT.
That's right. Yeah, that's a brand new thing, and I started getting into blockchain NFTs about a year ago. I think really it was about filling a need for our customers. A lot of agents would come to us and ask for stock images. They were looking for shots that they can use in their marketing of cities and the towns where they were listing properties. We never had a good solution for this. We really would just tell them that we can go out and shoot whatever they want. So instead of just building a stock image library, we felt it might make sense to experiment with something new, and that's kind of what created the idea for the NFT marketplace.
Cool. Before we talk about how photographers can make money with NFTs, how about assuming I'm a real estate agent and I have a need for cityscapes, some of the images that you described. How do I actually use the HomeJab Real, REAL, NFT marketplace to buy digital assets? And what is it that can I buy? Do you want to just like jump in and do a demo from the perspective of a real estate agent first?
Sure. Happy to do that. Would you like me to share my screen?
Yeah, that would be great.
Okay. You see,
and I noticed you took us directly to nft.homejab.com.
Yes, that's right. From our homepage, it links over to the NFT marketplace. So this is basically the homepage here. As a real estate agent or anyone who's looking for stock images of real estate, you can basically explore our marketplace. And the way that we set it up was very similar to a real estate site like Zillow or Realtor.com, where you have this map search page or kind of split screen with the map, and then all the listings to the right. So you can zero in on a specific area. So if you're an agent in the Northeast, for example, you can just very easily sort of zoom in and then just explore the images in a specific area. You can also search for keywords or search for cities. You can look for a certain price range, although most of the images on the marketplace are listed for a pretty modest amount. These are $10, $15, and some are listed about $200, $300. So in that range, you can typically find what you're looking for. You can search for images, video, or 360 tours, although right now we just have images and videos. We're about to get basically moving with the 360s, but right now it's just image and video. And then you can basically look through different keywords, search by photographer, screen name. So there's many different ways to search, but most commonly people just kind of go on the map. And if you're looking for something in Washington, D.C., for example, you just kind of zoom in on the map, let this refresh, and then you can scroll through the different images. And
so then, I think looking at this particular screen, even before you click on a particular image, Joe, my sense was as you zoomed in on the map, it was refreshing the content that was on the right.
Yeah.
As you were refreshing the map and the content was refreshing on the right, you could go back up to the top and start filtering by price or by the kind of digital asset you're looking for, or even keywords like beach or sunset or sunrise or cityscape.
Yeah, it's try to mimic what you would see in a regular real estate type search site. So again, like Zillow or Trulia's, Realtor.com, try to make the interface very comfortable and familiar with that kind of search. So yeah, it's a very similar type of interface.
Okay, so can you go find the kind of image you're looking for and show us how a real estate agent or anyone for that matter would buy that content?
Yeah, assuming you've found something you like, you can just click on the thumbnail and that'll take you to the actual NFT listing page. So just like a MLS type of website, you have the actual property page, and you have all the details here. Who the photographer is, you can click and see the profile of that photographer. Address information, the blockchain that it's on, and any transactions that have occurred in the past, what the price was, so you see a full history of that NFT.
So for clarification, if you were to buy this, then it would be your NFT, but you could list it for sale if you wanted, and all that history would show up related to your NFT.
Yeah, I mean, this is where it kind of diverges a bit from the traditional stock image, because the idea of buying an image, using it for a certain period of time, and then putting it back up for sale and buying another one, sort of like trading these images like baseball cards, is sort of like a new concept, and it's not something that's currently being done right now. It's just sort of something that I think is brand new, and one of the cool aspects of NFTs, because owning an NFT is like owning an image with a certificate of authenticity that comes along with it. And so there is a secondary market theoretically where you can purchase an image like this, put it on your website, use it for a certain period of time, and then sell it and buy another one, so that you can always keep your content fresh and new.
So for clarification, under copies on this one, it says 1. So could you resell this one, or no, you're limited to, no, you can't resell it, or yes, you can resell it. It's just that there may be, in this case, just one of this particular image.
The creator, the photographer, can set the number of copies that they want to create. And so many of them are just one copy. So if you're a buyer, if you're a real estate agent and you want to buy the image, you would buy, in this case, the one and only copy of this particular NFT. However, if there more than one copy, then you would just be purchasing that one edition of that particular NFT, and then other people can buy the same image.
You could resell it to someone else.
Yes, well, if it depends on when it was created by the photographer, how many copies they put into the smart contract on the blockchain. So when you mint as an NFT
tell you
artist,
what, let's look at that when we get to photographers as we go through that. I'm sorry, I probably took you to I got you off the beaten path there. But the point is, from a real estate agent's perspective, why is just knowing there's one copy of this important?
Well, I think that's a really nice sort of differentiator from stock images also, because if you go to a stock image site, you're buying one image of probably many of them that have been sold. And they, I've talked to some journalists, for example, that are looking for a certain city skyline. They purchase that and they find the image is already like used by many of their colleagues, and they've seen it on other articles and things like that. So a lot of stock images that you see in articles, you tend to see them quite often. So if you're buying one particular copy of an image, then it's unique, and that you have the only copy. And I think that perhaps makes it more valuable. Some photographers have, I know we're getting off track again, but some photographers have minted with multiple copies at a lower price. So there's different strategies there.
Okay, so we'll talk about that when we get to the photographer persona. But if I stay with the real estate agent persona, and I saw that I had a choice of photos or video, and you let us know that 360 photospheres are coming, 360 virtual tours are coming. Is there an image that you want to go ahead and buy just so we can see what that transaction looks like? Yeah,
Dan, you mentioned that you have purchased one in the past. Is it okay if I buy that one from you?
Sure. If you go to my profile, maybe you could show how you get there, or maybe I could take you to where I know I have an image. So Jacksonville, Florida, and that'll get to my profile. So yes, and then if you go to my profile, if you click through that, Joe.
This here?
Yeah, I won't put you through buying my $249 sunrise video, but if you click on created by Dan Smigrod, now you can see that I've already purchased an image for $1 and I relisted it for $2.
Okay, so if I wanted to purchase this, it's listed at $2. I've already connected my crypto wallet, MetaMask, so I'm all set there. It's a pretty simple process. Just click this here. $2 is the total. And then the MetaMask crypto wallet window appears, and I have to approve the transaction fee. So you have 13 cents in BNB. We're using the Binance Smart Chain, so that's the gas fee. That's the transaction fee paid to the validators.
And I'll ask you later in the show, because I know you've already mentioned a number of terms: MetaMask, BUSD, gas. So I will ask you about all those, but I'll let you keep moving for those that actually know what those terms mean.
Okay. Well, just so you know, the transaction fee is relatively low on the Binance Smart Chain. So as a buyer, you'd have to confirm the transaction fee. And now it's just processing and waiting for the transaction to validate on the blockchain.
So is it taking longer because it's a video, or no, that time that it just took to do that transaction was related to the blockchain completing the transaction?
Yeah, we're just sort of processing it. It usually takes maybe 30 seconds up to a couple minutes for the transaction to go through, but there you go. It's all done, and now it's mine. So it's pretty quick process.
So, and maybe we could take a look at my page again, because that would probably have to see that transaction on my site.
Okay. Yeah, and you can see that the file is
I'm
already
sorry.
downloaded.
Yeah, where do I download it? Do I download it from the checkout, or I actually go to my profile page and then download it?
It could be downloaded from the profile page. It actually just downloads automatically once the transaction is confirmed on the blockchain, and then it just starts downloading. But you can also go to your profile and download the files.
Okay, so you actually, since you bought it, it's now on your site, and then it should show up on. Are we looking at maybe your test site?
No, this is my profile actually. Remember, I was testing your banner on my.
Oh, you were testing my banner. Okay, got it.
Yeah, so
okay.
I got here it is on my end, and I guess if we go back to your profile, we can kind of check to see. So this one's yours, and then going back to your profile, now you just have the one listing, and this hasn't yet confirmed, I guess, on the blockchain, but it would be under the sold tab once that's processed.
So I had two that were for sale. One just sold, so it disappeared, and then shortly the one I sold, that video that I bought for $1, will show up in my account for that listed that I had sold the video.
Right, and now I own it, so I can download the assets. This would be an MP4. I can edit the description here, or I can put it up for sale again. So if I think I got if I'm done using it, or I think I got a really good deal, I want to resell it, then I can just go back to this sell, or go to the sell page here, and then put it back up for sale.
Okay, so we'll talk more about the sale. What did it cost you for that $2 image? There was a transaction fee related to the blockchain, and then there was a commission paid to HomeJab.
That's right. Yeah, 4% of the transaction goes to the platform, to the real marketplace, and the blockchain transaction fee was, I believe, it was 13 cents.
And is it 4% of buying and 4% of selling?
No, it's just deducted 4% from the sale price, and the seller receives the net amount. Yes.
So the seller receives full price less 4%, and the buyer is actually paying the blockchain transaction fee, which in this case was about 13 cents.
Exactly. Yeah.
Now, do we see the history of this one if you scroll down? So you can see that I purchased it. You don't know who I am with my number, presumably, but 21 days ago, I purchased that video from a photographer in South America for $1, and then I relisted it for sale for $2, and that's that second transaction. Is there anything interesting about trading history that you'd want to point out?
Well, I mean, this is pretty typical on an NFT marketplace where you see the trading history. I mean, I think it's unique in the sense that we're trading real estate images, and you probably haven't seen anything like that, because usually these images they're private transactions between a photographer and the customer, or they're between a customer and a corporation, a stock image company. So, just kind of making it transparent what these NFTs are selling for is probably, unique, a unique aspect.
Okay, so let's stay with the real estate agent persona. You bought some video that you wanted. What if you were looking in a market and you didn't see it? Is there a way to purchase something that doesn't exist yet?
Yeah, I mean, so, obviously there's a lot of potential in the stock image industry, and we're not going to have every location photographed. So we came up with this idea of this order custom NFT button. So if you're looking through and you're trying to find something specific and you can't find it, you're in North Dakota and there's nothing in North Dakota listed, you can click this order NFT button, and then you can go through an order process, order form, where you select the type of asset you're looking for, aerial or ground shot. You can say, give more information about what it is, put in a specific address, and then any further details. And then you can select how you want us to contact you with a quote. So give a bunch of options,
Okay.
Discord, WhatsApp, Telegram.
Could you put my email address in there? Is that okay?
Sure.
So it's Dan Smigrod, DANSMIGROD at WeGetAroundNetwork.com. Okay. So it says we'll contact you as soon as possible. What does that mean?
Well, I mean, that comes right to HomeJab will take a look at what you're looking for, and then email you back a quote, within, I don't know, an hour or two, if it's certain business hours.
Got it. Okay. So the question was where does the order custom NFT come from or go to? It goes to HomeJab, and then I imagine that HomeJab sources among the photographers you have there wasn't any cash that took place. There was no cryptocurrency payment. So can you be just a little bit more granular and tell me what would happen when if that was looked like a real order rather than just saying test?
Yeah, I mean, assuming we have a photographer in the location you're looking for, and the shot is doable, we would give you a quote on what that would cost. You can tell us move forward or not, and then we'll assign it to a photographer who will then go out and shoot it, and then we'll edit it as normal and list it as an NFT, and sell it. You can do a private sale on the marketplace here, so we would potentially just sell it directly to you at the agreed upon price, and you can purchase it just through the same process they just went through.
So who would be the seller at that point? Would that be HomeJab would be the seller because you've contracted with the photographer? That's
right. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. That makes sense to me. Got it. Is there anything else I'm a real estate agent. Is there anything else that I should know about in terms of the HomeJab real NFT marketplace? For example, the first thing I heard you say is, well, you could get a unique image that 10 other agents in the market don't have. So I presume that speaks to when you were describing real estate agents saying, could you give me a town's images that I can attach to our maybe multi-property community, and we want to have some downtown images. If I'm in Jacksonville, Florida, I want to have the downtown. I want to have pictures of the beach. I want to show the artwork that's downtown Jacksonville. Is there some other reason why this should appeal to real estate agents versus either ordering photography or ordering stock images? I guess one may be price, because as you mentioned, a lot of images are $10.
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly a huge discount. I mean, if you're a real estate agent, first of all, I don't think every real estate agent is going to, be into this particular, crypto and NFTs. But if you happen to be into cryptocurrency, and you've traded NFTs, you have your crypto wallet, and this is something you're interested in, and you already have a portfolio of cryptocurrency, you can find this to be a very attractive alternative to just going to a stock image company and getting the same old images that a lot of other people have already purchased. And your other alternative is to hire a photographer to go out and shoot it, which, is going to be much more expensive. So, if you're able to find something you're looking for, then might as well purchase it, because a lot of the images, like I mentioned, are priced, priced to sell. I mean, you have a lot of images in the $10 to $20 range, some in $50. I'd say the average is probably like $50 to $100. So it's significantly less than it would cost to actually hire a professional to go out and shoot it. And you get a unique image, and you get an NFT form, which means that potentially there's a secondary market. And if you're into crypto and you're into NFTs, it's a way to kind of support the crypto movement, the Web3 sort of movement. So I think those would be the reasons.
Okay, cool. All right, so let's switch gears. I'm a real estate photographer. How do I make money with NFTs powered by HomeJab, with the HomeJab's real NFT marketplace?
Well, the process is pretty simple. I mean, first off, you'd have to be an approved photographer with HomeJab, or contact us to get approved. And we wanted this to be a very exclusive sort of marketplace in which only professional photographers are invited to be creators. So this is specifically for professionals, people that spend their careers basically in the real estate photography field, and this is for them. So if you're a professional, even if you're not currently with HomeJab, but if you're a professional and you want to sell images through the marketplace, you can contact us and get approved to be a creator. And so once you're approved, what you'd have to do is set up your crypto wallet. You have to connect to the site using MetaMask, and then it's pretty simple. I mean, you get enabled as a creator on the site. After you get approved, you click the create button, and then you just go through the process of uploading the media, naming it, putting in the location information, adding any tags. We offer a couple options in terms of what blockchain to use, Binance or Polygon. And then you create the NFT, and then the next page would be the pricing information and how to list it for sale. So it's, if you're comfortable with any type of Web2 website of any kind, you're going to be able to do it on here. The only difference would be the crypto wallet.
Could you take us through an actual photo so we could go in that granular piece? Is that okay?
Sure. Okay.
We're looking for a photo.
Yeah. Okay. So let's just use this one.
Okay. And I think I want to point out on these tags that the tags is actually pretty important, because if you're the real estate agent and you're searching the search box, you might type in pool or Los Angeles. So this is your opportunity to help make it easier for your content to be found.
Absolutely. Yep.
So that there may be a lot of tags. Now, and I see you put in a hashtag and then a comma. Is that what's happening?
Yes, that's right. Yep.
Okay. And then selecting the blockchain that I use, presumably. Okay. So now we want to go create that.
Okay. So now the image has been uploaded, created, the listing page is created, and then I can, either edit or put it up for sale.
Okay. And now I only see one copy. What is now, again, I'm trying to understand if there's one copy, that one copy can be sold. So as you post the image, I buy it. Now there's still only one copy in the universe, according to the photographer that originated this picture. And then if I choose, I can sell it, but then I can't use it anymore.
That's right. Yeah. If you sell the NFT to someone else, then you essentially lose the usage rights for that particular image. So, if you're an agent and you want to buy the NFT, you then have usage rights. You can put it out wherever you want. You can print it out. You can use it on your website. And then when you're done using it, you can, sell it.
Can you go to edit? I just want to see if there was other things, because I seem to recall when I posted something for sale. So maybe it's when I go to sell it that there's a lot more options
you have to click sell and then get to the second step, which is
yes, please.
This particular screen where you would select the type of sale. Most of the photographers, actually all of the photographers right now, are doing fixed price sale, although we do have a timed auction that is possible to use. You set your price, and here's where you can edit the number of copies. So, a lot of people have used different pricing strategies where they sell one for $100, or they, sell 100 for $10. You can put in whatever price you want, however many copies you want. And then you want to set a royalty. And so the royalty goes to the creator. That's a number between 0% and max is 10%. And that's how much the creator, the photographer, would get paid if that image was to get sold again. So on the secondary sale. So on the first sale, you would get paid 96% of the price. 4% would be paid to the platform.
Yes.
And then whoever purchases that can relist it. And if they sell it again, you would get the royalty amount. So if someone was to sell it for $100 and you set the royalty amount at 5%, then you'd get paid $5 on the secondary sale. And there's no limit to how many times you can get paid that royalty. So theoretically, if it gets sold over and over and over again, you get paid every time it gets sold.
Okay, let's stay on this page for a moment, because I have a lot of questions. So, and maybe if you just could change the USD to 100, it'll just make it easier for me to think for a second. Okay, so if you put in royalties, and let's put in 10%, please. If you are the owner of this image and you sell it for $100, you're going to get $96.
Yes.
And then let's say I bought it for $100 and I relist it for $1,000. And there's 10%. So if someone buys it for $1,000, then 4% when it sells for $1,000 is going to go to HomeJab, and 10%. That's where I'm confused. Where's the 10% coming from? Out of the sale price? So if I sell it for $1,000, 100 of that is going to the photographer.
That's right. So if you buy the NFT and decide to relist it, you would pay the royalty to the photographer out of the sale proceeds. So the sales price minus the platform fee of 4% minus any royalties, and then you get paid the net amount of that. Okay.
And then let's say it's sold a third time. Does the second person get 10%? No. The royalties only apply to who created and published the content originally as an NFT.
Right. Yeah. I mean, the idea, a portion of this whole idea is to really help, support photographers and, provide a potential for recurring revenue. If they take a really great photograph and they can, continue to make or earn money, passively. I mean, that's sort of the idea of NFTs. So it's, that would go to the original photographer always. Anyone who buys the NFT, and then once they sell it, then there's no connection there.
So please help me understand for a moment about pricing and about the number of copies and about royalties. And in fact, let's take it off screen share just for a moment, just to discuss that. The intersection of the price, the number of copies, and the royalty. Is there a strategy as a photographer of how to set each of those?
Yeah, I mean, well, a lot of it is theory at this point, to be honest, Dan, because it's such a new concept and we only have a handful of transactions so far. I mean, this is brand new. So, I mean, a lot of it is sort of theoretical, sort of, and we've had sort
Yes,
of a lot of.
you announced the HomeJab announced the platform literally about 30 days ago. It was March 29th, 2022. So obviously we're talking about something that's new. But what was your vision of what the strategy might be between the relationship of price, quantity, and royalties?
Well, I mean, we've had a bunch of meetings with a lot of photographers and to talk about this. And the first thing I want to just point out is that it is a sort of a decentralized platform where the creators themselves can come up with any strategy they want. So it's really not up to to us or me or you or anybody to kind of tell people what to do. So you can do whatever you want. I mean, when we talked to photographers, I think the consensus was we wanted to kind of price these images at a point where it would make sense for people to purchase them and not hire a professional to go out and shoot it for them. So whatever you think is a fair price to hire a professional, to go out and shoot what you need, we wanted to price it, significantly lower than that. So to incentivize people to actually purchase it.
So let me stay on that for a second, because I went ahead and while on vacation in Jacksonville, Florida, at the beach at sunrise, I shot a 31-second video of the sunrise, and I priced that at $249. And my thinking was, okay, well, somebody wanted to hire a photographer to go out at sunrise and shoot that, they'd probably pay at least $250, so they don't have to go through the hassle, and they know exactly what they got. And if they like my sunrise video, then it's exactly what they're looking for, and it's priced at, I'm guessing, what they might pay for it, to hire a photographer actually to just go out and get that shot. On the other hand, I'm looking at, like, I bought a video, but do I think that video is going to sell for $249? I don't think so. But I was kind of thinking, well, it's not really worth my time to price it less than that. And yet I do see a lot of photographers pricing at $10, $15, $50. Even the video I bought in South America was $1. And maybe that photographer set the commission at 10%, and they're going to have velocity of that transaction happening and keep collecting money.
I mean, that is something that came up quite a bit, is, it's like the recurring revenue aspect. A lot of people were very attracted to the idea of that. So they wanted to kind of throw some of their work. These are images they already had sort of in their portfolio. They didn't go out and shoot it specifically for the purposes of selling it on the marketplace. So they already had these images. It didn't cost them anything to list it. So they were kind of talking about, like, let's try to get some velocity, some transactions going. And they're also thinking, like, it would be nice to have some traction, in the beginning here, because this is a brand new site. So we wanted to kind of, just experiment with a lot of different price points. So yeah, some photographers decided to go the route of, let's just throw it out there for $10, $20, get it on the market and see, just like a lot of NFT projects, perhaps there's some momentum and price appreciation, in which case they would get paid that royalty. So yeah, I mean, that's certainly, I think, a strategy I've seen where, I mean, the way that you priced it, I think makes total sense. If, the other way to look at it is, we looked at some images on some of the big stock image companies, and a lot of them were priced, in that $300 to $400 range. So I think your price point makes a lot of sense. But yeah, I mean,
I just tried to do it based on if somebody wanted to go out and hire a photographer to shoot that, what they might pay or what the hassle factor was of them doing it themselves, particularly getting up at, early in the morning that my wife makes me get out to go see the sunrise. I'm always happy and when I've done it, but it is getting up way early. But then I'm thinking about, well, what's this percentage of a royalty? Is there any reason not to set it to 10% every time?
Well, I mean, again, theoretically, that would reduce the potential value of the NFT a little bit, you would think, because someone's buying that, and then that royalty would have to get deducted from their net proceeds after they sell it. So maybe they would value that a little bit less. Same thing with number of copies. If there's like more than one copy, you might value the image a little bit less. So, obviously the way to maximize value perhaps would be to, set it at one copy and set your royalty at 0 or a relatively low royalty. But, I don't know. I mean, there's different ways to look at it. If it's a really nice image, you set a modest price and set a 10% royalty, and then I think people, would be happy to pay that royalty if they were able to sell it, because perhaps, they may profit maybe. So it's all brand new and people are all just experimenting with things, and it's a very interesting topic to kind of talk about prices and royalties, but there's not a lot of data out there for this particular type of NFT to kind of say what works and what doesn't. And it's kind of like, we have about 150 early adopters, photographers that were just like, hey, this sounds cool. Like we have some images, we'll throw them up there and see what happens. And that's kind of the mindset. It's like, I want to be part of something new. I want to try something new. I'm into the technology, and I have some images to test out. And that was sort of the mentality of this small early adopter group that we put together. And that's kind of where we're at.
Well, let me ask you 2 more in the weeds questions, and I'll elevate the conversation. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think the percent royalty is disclosed when you're buying an NFT. What was the royalty disclosed? And so if I look at the image, I'm saying, well, I'll pay $249 and I think I can resell it once I get done with it, but I have to pay the photographer 10%. I don't think that piece was disclosed publicly until I bought it.
You're right. It's not on the NFT page. It probably should be added.
Darn, shouldn't have said anything. All right.
No, that's a good point. That's a good point, because I think the buyer should know exactly what they have to pay if they decide to relist it, and that seems like a logical thing that they should want to know. So I think it should
we just keep that among ourselves, and then I can just mark everything up 10% and for my royalty and okay. Let me ask you my second in the weeds question. I'm thinking this whole thing about NFTs and images is about it being unique. So I was actually surprised when I saw, I could specify the number of copies or originals that I can mint, I guess, if that's the term. So what's your thought about offering that cityscape or my video for just 1 or 10 or 100 uses? Do you think that somebody who's deciding, that video would be perfect, or saying, but it's not going to be exclusive, so I don't want it?
Well, it's an interesting question. A lot of the feedback that we got from photographers that do stock images and do this for a living, they wanted to have editions or copies, because that was something that they're just very used to having. It's part of the lingo of being into this particular type of photography, when you're selling your work to stock image companies, and there's different number of editions and things like that. So that was based on a lot of the feedback we got from certain photographers. Maybe not the majority. Maybe the majority are just saying like, well, why shouldn't I just kind of create one copy? The bottom line is that this is really it. Web3 and blockchain is about like the creator economy, and it's really about you as the creator, you have to make these decisions and do what you think is best. And so we didn't want to limit people. There was a certain group that wanted copies and editions, and there was another group that was saying, I want to sell one copy and create a unique image, and that all makes sense to me. It's really not. It's really about what that creator wants to do, and and that we kind of left it at that. But if we kind of remove the idea of copies and having multiple editions of the same image, a lot of the people that have done this for a living for a long time kind of felt like, perhaps it wasn't the right thing to get involved in. But I mean, it's a really interesting point. I think in the NFT space, certainly, the unique one image, one copy NFT is what you hear about a lot, and that's what gets the big prices. But what we're doing with stock images and real estate images is not not that. So it's like, we're kind of in a different sort of camp. And so it's really like whatever we want to make of it. And so there's really not a lot to look at and say, this is the correct way, this is the wrong way. There's going to be opinions all over the place. And so, we figured it would be best to just kind of let people make up their choice, their minds about how they want to do it.
Okay. So after I got done uploading my one video for sale and then buying one video for $1, again, from a photographer in South America, making my 100% profit, nearly 100% profit on you.
Pay taxes on that, I think.
Oh, I have to pay taxes. Oh my God. So what kind of went through my head was, oh my gosh, I have thousands and thousands of images that would seem appropriate for the HomeJab real NFT marketplace. Is that sort of kind of what you're hoping, is that hundreds or thousands of photographers like say, oh, I've been shooting the equivalent of stock and just selling it one at a time, and maybe I even have looked at stock? I mean, do you want to talk about the money for photographers versus stock and versus this marketplace?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of different deals out there, but what I've heard, is that basically, a lot of photographers are getting paid pennies per month for the images that they've sold. So there is sort of feedback I've heard is that there's a lot of people are not very happy with the type of money that they're making currently with stock images. They're getting a very small piece of the pie.
Forgive me, but that was the reason I didn't, pursue stock. It was just like, I don't want to earn pennies for my images. It's not even worth my time of tagging all the images. I said, well, okay. And then there's this balance to say, well, how much time am I going to put in it to post images and video for $249 a pop? It still takes time. So I was then wondering, I really took a lot of video at the beach of the sun rising over the course of a number of days. Is there a plan for a bulk uploader? Because there's so much content that literally, I mean, at least to upload it and then tweak the keywords like, sunrise with seagull flying through the shot. I don't know.
Yeah, it is possible. I mean, you still have to make sure that all the metadata is there and the tags are there and, the location. So, but if you were to come, have a sort of a spreadsheet and you had all that information filled out, then yeah, we would be able to kind of work with that and get it up into your profile. And, you've already have a profile with us. You have your MetaMask attached to that profile. Yeah. So it is doable. So yeah, if you wanted to do that, you can do it.
But it's not automated yet. But it's
we haven't automated. No, there's no bulk upload page specifically for that purpose. It would be something though that the developers can work with a spreadsheet, assuming that we had all the data on there. Then we can create that.
Okay. Well, I'm just thinking, I can't be the only photographer that's watching today's show thinking I have thousands of images that fit what you're looking for, which probably also begs the question: is the invitation is essentially the curating factor is of keeping the image quality at a professional level is based on who you've invited to be able to post to the platform?
Yeah. I mean, we definitely want to keep a professional community. I think, that's if you look at other successful NFT projects, even though they're not real estate related, they're successful because, the people know who the creators are, the artists, and there's sort of a story there. And so I think the story with our site would be that, we're professional photographers. This is what we do for a living. And it's a way to protect the work that we've created and monetize that. And perhaps set up a passive income stream for it using the NFT technology. So that's kind of the idea of it. Now, I realize, not everyone who's listening to this works for HomeJab. Probably a very small percentage, but so the process of getting approved as a creator though would be, pretty simple. You just sort of fill out a quick form about, who you are, your work, link to your site, LinkedIn and all that. and then we'd be able to get you approved. So it's not.
Go to homejab.com and click contact us.
Contact us. There's also a jobs page on the bottom. Even if you don't want to get jobs from HomeJab, there is a quick form to get all of your info into the system, and then we can approve you. So it's not super exclusive in the sense that we only want HomeJab photographers sort of on there. It's really exclusive to professional photographers. And if you want to be involved in the NFT marketplace, there's no cost to list stuff. The gas fees, the transaction fees are paid by the buyer. So we use a method called lazy minting, which is, basically you can list without actually minting on the blockchain and paying any gas fees. You do need your MetaMask wallet, but you don't need any crypto in that wallet. So
okay, ding, 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 ding. I've just heard 1,000 terms in less than 30 seconds. So I'm going to see if I can go slowly on this. First, in the top right corner, there was the word was wallet, and you need to connect a crypto wallet in order to sell or buy. So what is a crypto wallet and what is a MetaMask?
So MetaMask is probably the most popular of crypto wallets that are used to integrate in with these types of sites. So, you have to download MetaMask. It's an extension that goes on your browser. So you go on Chrome or Firefox, just go to metamask.io, I think it is, download that extension, and then go through the process of setting up that wallet. And then once you have the wallet installed on your browser, you can then go to the website and connect that wallet.
Before I connect the wallet, though, to the nft.homejab.com site, I have to have crypto in the wallet. Is that correct? I'm pretty sure.
Well, you don't need to have crypto. If you're going to buy something, you do.
But I think even to list, I'm almost positive it wouldn't let me connect my MetaMask wallet until I had crypto in it.
You can connect your wallet and you can list. You might have listed yours before we made this change, but the lazy minting, which is the new feature, allows you to list without paying any transaction fees. So you don't need to have crypto in your wallet as a photographer to
awesome.
to create the NFTs now.
Awesome. So you can start out with zero crypto in your MetaMask wallet to be able to begin the process as a photographer to mint, list your digital assets, photo, video, 360 virtual tour. I think then I needed two kinds of cryptocurrency. So I saw that a price of something was listed for, let's say, $10. And I think of that as 10 US dollars, USD, but it actually said BUSD. So what's the difference between a USD and a BUSD?
So the BUSD is the Binance US stablecoin. And so there's a one-to-one exchange with BUSD and US dollars. So $1 BUSD equals $1. And so we're using BUSD, the stable coin, as the actual coin to price the NFTs and make purchases of those NFTs. So we didn't want to have to deal with sort of the fluctuations of, the cryptocurrencies. So
essentially, when I look at a price and it says 10 BUSD, I don't have, as someone in the United States, I go, oh, it's $10, $10, 10 BUSD, because the Binance dollar is pegged to the US dollar. And so it's always the same.
Exactly. And it'll be $10 today, it'll be $10 tomorrow and the next day. So it makes it a little bit easier for people to kind of wrap their head around pricing, and they don't have to do any conversions. However,
then Joe, I saw yet something else. There was BND and gas, that I have gas. So what does all that mean?
So if you're a buyer, you're going to have two coins in your wallet. BUSD, which we just reviewed, that's the coin that's going to be paid to the seller. That's the price of the NFT. BNB, Binance is coin. That's their native coin on the blockchain, the Binance Smart Chain. BNB is what you're going to use to pay for the transaction fees on the blockchain, often called gas fees. Those are the fees that go to the network validators that are going to process the transaction and validate that transaction on the blockchain. So and you saw in the example that I did, it was 13 cents, and that's so the buyer would pay 13 cents in BNB, and then also they would have BUSD in their wallet, and that's what would get transferred to the photographer.
Okay, so I have my MetaMask wallet, and I know that I need BUSD and BNB. Where do I get those two cryptocurrencies?
Well, I mean, since they're both Binance, a great place to go would be the Binance exchange. That's probably the best way to do it. Binance is, I think, maybe second or third largest exchange, or maybe the largest in the world. It's a little, there's maybe a couple that are larger here in the United States, but Binance is one of the largest exchanges. And so if you're in the United States, you go to Binance.us, and you'd have to go through the process of setting up your account with that exchange. Verifying your identity, things like that. You can purchase pretty much right away, but then if you're a first-time user, then you have to wait a few days before you can withdraw money from Binance into your MetaMask wallet. And so you have to make that withdrawal from the exchange where you purchase it, and then put it into your MetaMask wallet. Once you've done that, then you can—
Oh, you went a little bit fast for me. So I know that I go to Binance.us and I purchase the BUSD for the dollars that I want to buy stuff, knowing I need a little bit of gas, which is that BNB. But do I buy it with yet other cryptocurrency? Do I buy it with US dollars? How do I actually do the transaction? Do I have to transfer money from a checking account? Do I do a wire transfer? What's the mechanic of actually buying a cryptocurrency?
Yeah, well, once you have your account with Binance, there's a number of ways to fund it. I believe I funded it with just a direct ACH sort of, bank account, direct deposit. I think you might be able to do a wire transfer as well. So you would connect your bank account, your US bank account, to deposit USD into your account on Binance. And then once you have that, you can exchange it for any coin that you want, including BUSD and BNB.
And so I think another option might be I could use a debit card. So maybe, is that like an ATM card? So to think of it as a cash advance out of my checking account, is that the right way to think about that?
Yeah, sure. Certainly, you can use a debit card, to fund, your
or an ACH transfer.
Yes.
And there may be other options as well, like wire transfers. Okay, so I go figure all that out, and it may be, or if I have crypto, so if I'm already in some other currency, I presumably I could go to Binance.us and do some type of exchange of one currency into another currency in order to buy the BUSD BNB.
Yeah, absolutely. A BNB is one of the most popular coins out there. But if you have, Ethereum or Bitcoin, then there's a number of different exchanges in which you can, exchange that particular coin and buy BNB, and then, exchange for BUSD.
Okay. I think my last question, and then I'll throw it back to you in case I left anything out. But I actually, using crypto, can buy something real. Real. Can you talk about that in terms of, like, people are trading currencies, but there's nothing you actually get other than maybe speculation? And in the HomeJab real NFT marketplace, you actually use crypto to buy something real.
Yeah, and that's kind of why we named it real. There's sort of this negative backlash, a lot of negativity sort of building around some of the NFT projects out there. A lot of them are just sort of pump and dump type of like scams, really. I mean, there's no other way to put it. A lot of the stuff you see out there, are just sort of a lot of hype, get the price up, and then the people who create it sort of dump it, and then you're left with, a lot of them go to zero in terms of the value of these NFTs. There are, certainly several very successful projects, the Bored Ape Yacht project, and, crypto kitties and whatnot. There's a number of different really successful projects out there, but, we wanted to kind of do something different, as opposed to, this isn't about like hype and, making huge amounts of money as an investment. I mean, this is really about, an alternative to the stock image industry. So if you have an actual use for these images, these are real images. It's not a get rich quick scheme. I mean, this is not a way to, buy something for $100 and then a month later, sell it for $100,000. That this is not that kind of NFT project. This is has real utility. It's sort of a real world, one foot in the real world and one in the crypto world. It's really like a exploratory type of project where we're trying to connect with people that are into crypto and looking for sort of a real world use case in order to spend their crypto and get something that they can actually find useful and actually use. So if you are someone who goes out and buys stock images, if you're a digital marketer, journalist, or real estate agent, you're building your website and you're into crypto and you have a portfolio in crypto, or you have an interest in getting into it, here is sort of a real world use case for it. You can certainly want to go out and buy NFTs of various cartoon characters and things like that you see out there. You can do that too, but this is a different kind of thing. And
yeah, I'm just thinking as a real estate photographer who has created literally thousands of photos and video over time that are not being monetized. It's like, oh, well, this is interesting. This is a marketplace between people that need that content and people who already have an existing library of content that is an opportunity to monetize a library of probably most of us, thousands of images that we've shot over time. And for those that are looking for that content to find our content, and for us actually as photographers to get paid the amount of money that we price it out at versus earning pennies on the dollar from a stock house.
Yes, it puts the control and puts the power back into the hands of individual creators and the photographers, as opposed to the various large, the handful of corporations that basically dominate the stock photo industry right now. And so, the only other thing I'd add to that, I think you're right on target there, is that just keep in mind that this is very early days and it's very new, and it's not like you list stuff and then tomorrow it's sold out and you made a bunch of money. I think it's the people
so how do you deal with that, Joe? Because that's the classic chicken and egg, is like the marketplace is a month old. As a photographer who has thousands of images, I don't necessarily want to rush to spend a lifetime publishing content if there's no people who are buying the content. And at the same time, I imagine people who might have an interest in buying content may be a little bit reluctant to go to the marketplace if there's not a ton of content. Classic chicken and egg problem. Is this, well, it just takes time and it is what it is. And at some point, magic happens.
I think the magic will happen over time. Most of the photographers that I mentioned, we have, a small group of about 100, 150 that, are early adopters here. They might have, average, maybe someone listed 10, 20. They haven't spent, a huge amount of time listing thousands of images, because we're just not at that point where they can depend on the income from it. I'd say, but more importantly than just the money right now, I think is really, I'll just tell you the reason I got involved in it was, we're not expecting to make huge amounts of money this year with this marketplace. It was really about the blockchain sort of technology. I was just really interested in that aspect of it. Just kind of minting these sort of digital assets onto the blockchain, having a record of ownership, and transacting that way was just really interesting to me. And it's just a new technology, and I just like that idea of having it stored on this sort of decentralized network. And I really wanted to kind of get involved in that and learn it. So in addition to the opportunity,
and I would add to that, Joe, is just as a photographer that has assets, but never had any exposure to cryptocurrency other than what I read or see on television. So, okay, maybe this is the opportunity for me to learn something about crypto. Yeah. And as a result, now understand what a MetaMask wallet is and that there are other options, and now understand what BUSD is and BND and what gas is, and then about where I go buy currency like Binance.us. And so I actually feel like I have some slow on ramp to Web 3.0 cryptocurrency, NFTs, et cetera, as a result of experimenting with HomeJab's NFT marketplace, Real, REAL. And well, that was kind of nice. That was a learning experience. And just for a person who's curious and interested, it was actually something real that you could do with crypto.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's the right mindset. I mean, I think everyone sort of understands that, yeah, there is the potential here in the long run to really make money compared to, what the industry is doing with stock images right now, where there's very little money. But more important than that, and more just sort of short-term aspect, is this idea of, yeah, I'm interested in crypto. I'm interested in the blockchain. I want to learn it, and this is a sort of an opportunity to get involved in it. And then the idea is like, if we're building a community and we are slowly building that inventory over time, it becomes that much more attractive to potential buyers. So we're sort of all just sort of helping each other kind of build that community, build the inventory, and then it gets to a point where it's like, wow, we got a lot of images here, and now we're starting to get more and more traffic. At the same time, there's more people in the real estate industry and other industries that are getting more familiar with crypto. So we're sort of in the first inning here. I think that most people would agree on that. And so as things progress, people more comfortable, using crypto wallets and things like that, then you have to think that this type of app is going to be more and more popular.
I'd be remiss if I didn't talk about 360 and 3D tours, Matterport tours, how that fits in with the real NFT, the HomeJab real NFT marketplace. I could see uploading a photo, and I could see uploading a video. What about a 360 virtual tour?
Right. So obviously a little bit different there, and a little bit trickier, just because it has to run on the browser. There's a software aspect to it. So what you're doing, what you're actually transferring is a link to the tour. So there's various virtual tour providers. You can provide tour, whether it's iSpy 360 or Matterport or whatever. But you're also, as a creator, uploading the individual JPEG 360 files. And so in addition to getting the link of the hosted tour, the buyer also receives the source files, the 360 files. And we thought that was the best way to kind of handle that transaction, because these tours obviously have to get hosted somewhere, and so you're not transferring just a hosted tour on some third-party platform. You actually sell the individual JPEG files as well as that. So you're getting both.
The JPEG files, meaning the 360-degree photospheres. Some refer to them as equirectangular JPEG images.
The idea being that it's nice to have a hosted tour that you can use, but we're not going to rely on some third-party company. If they go out of business or what have you, or you want to use another virtual tour company, at least you have the actual source files that you can then use. So that was sort of the thinking there.
So part of the contract might be that the photographer says, this tour will be hosted on, you mentioned iSpy 360, it'll be hosted on iSpy 360 through December 31st, 2025. But after that, you have the original 360s if you want to use them to build and create your own tour on a different platform.
Exactly. Yes. Yes. So we wanted the NFT to be linked to the actual files that, can be used indefinitely into the future. So yeah, that's exactly right. I will add though that, right now we've only done photos and video. 360, as new as this marketplace is, the 360 is even newer. We've done some testing, but we haven't actually listed any virtual tours. That's actually something that I'm going to be working on over the next week or two to kind of have a few tours up on the site, and potentially even houses that are listed for sale, so that we can actually market these NFTs of homes actually listed for sale, and that buying the NFT could even be used as a down payment on the house. So we're working with some real estate agents on sort of how that procedure will go. It's like, listed on the MLS, listed on Zillow, and then also listed as an NFT, in which case you can engage with the crypto community. Someone with crypto can come in, buy that NFT, and use that maybe as the down payment, or perhaps all of the money to then go and purchase that house in the real world. So, buying the NFT wouldn't necessarily mean you don't own the house, but you would basically, it'd be very aggressive offer. If you went in and bought that NFT for, let's say $400,000, and then that money gets transferred into escrow, and then you can actually close on that house in the real world, but using a title company, record the deed, as you usually would. So that's something we're kind of
okay. Let's call that a different show. Come back, WGAN-TV live at 5, and the first time you sell a house through the HomeJab real NFT marketplace, let's talk about that transaction. Maybe that will inspire one of our viewers to figure out how to go there. Joe, the title of our show, How Real Estate Photographers Make Money with NFTs Powered by HomeJab. Is there anything that we haven't covered, that I haven't asked you about how photographers can make money with NFTs through the real NFT platform marketplace?
Well, I don't think so. I mean, I think we've covered quite a bit. I just kind of reiterate the fact that, I realize a lot of the photographers are not currently working with us, and this is not, a pitch on, come work with HomeJab on real estate shoots, although we'd be happy to, work with you. It's more about, if you do want to just do the NFT stuff, you can certainly do that. So please, if you're interested in the technology, if you're interested in, just kind of ways to monetize your assets, reach out to us. And the process of getting approval will be fast and simple, as long as we verify that you're a professional and you do this for a living. Then you can create listings on the site, and it doesn't cost anything.
Awesome. Good opportunity to mention the websites again. HomeJab.com, 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 and go directly to the HomeJab real NFT marketplace at nft.homejab.com. Joe, thanks again for being on WGAN-TV live at 5.
Thanks very much, Dan.
We've been visiting with Joe Jesuele. Joe is the founder and owner of HomeJab. Joe is in the greater Philadelphia area. I'm Dan Smigrod, founder of the We Get Around Network Forum, and you've been watching WGAN.